On this week's video, we're going to be trying to hit a 3D target at 100 yards, so stick around. So a little while back, I put out a video demonstrating the point of aim method for long range shooting. Now, in that video, I was shooting at 45 yards, which I consider to be a pretty long shot for any traditional bow, especially when you approach archery from a bow hunting standpoint like I do. Now, like I said, that's a long shot for any traditional bow, but what I was shooting at the time was an Osage self bow. Since that time, I've backed this bow with sinew, so technically this is a composite bow. It's still an all natural material bow, but today we're gonna stretch that out a little bit and we're gonna see if we can't hit this thing at 100 yards. Wanna go ahead and mention that I've never shot this far with this bow and arrow combination. I've never really shot this far at all. And so I don't know how high above that target to hold. And so that's what I mean by walking it in. I'm just gonna have to pick out something above that target, let an arrow fly and just see what happens and then make adjustments from there. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go down there and hit that little subscribe button and then hit that little bell icon. That's gonna give you a notification when I upload a new video. We're uploading a new video every week. Sometimes it's shooting tips, sometimes it's bow hunting. Who knows what we're gonna get into this next year. We're traveling all over the country and we've got some pretty cool stuff lined up. That'd be way higher than that. Let's see here. Last arrow. I think I might have hit it. So this was my third and final arrow, and I actually got it in the kill zone. I'm pretty pleased with that. So I was just gonna leave the video as is, shooting from 100 yards and just walking an arrow into the target. But I thought, you know what? Anybody can get lucky and get a single arrow into a target at distance. The real test is being able to shoot a group at that distance. And so the next day I got out there and practiced just that. Got a little bit of a crosswind today. All right, so I had to move up to 80 yards because at 100 yards my holdover is so high that I'm up in the sky. And yesterday I had some clouds that were pretty much stagnant. They were just staying still or moving very slowly. And so I could use a piece of one of those clouds as a reference so that I could use that as my point of aim. But today's the sky's pretty clear. I don't have any clouds, so I don't have anything. I just, you know, if I'm aiming, my tip's just kind of up there wandering around in the sky. And so I hope by moving up to 80, I can put my tip somewhere just on the horizon there. Pick out a spot on the horizon and hopefully that'll be high enough to drop the arrows into the target. So we shall see. So the first thing I got to do is find a spot to aim. above that. So I think I've got something picked out. Up on the top of that hill. Well, there's one in it. I think I hit him in the neck. A little bit too far left. I think I just hit, maybe just over it. Oh, 2 out of 3. That ain't too bad at 80 yards. Let's go see where I hit. Now, shooting at these longer distances might just seem like some fun watching an arrow fly, but I really do think that shooting these longer distances will help you to tighten your groups when you're shooting at a reasonable hunting range, say 30 yards and in. And I can tell you from firsthand experience that I can definitely see a difference in my shooting. I shoot tighter groups at closer ranges after I've shot a couple of arrows at those longer ranges. I think what it's doing is it just forces you to a level of concentration that it can be sometimes hard to get to when you're shooting at those closer ranges. I think sometimes when we just shoot at close range, we have a tendency to rush our shots a little bit. And when we're shooting at those longer ranges, you're really forced to pick out just a very small spot way out in the distance and concentrate on that spot and concentrate on coming back and just making everything perfect. And I think when you move up to a reasonable hunting range, all of that stuff translates. Well, I've got 2 in the target, and the third one I thought hit the hay bale, but. All right, so I had, my other one must have been just went through the top of the hay bale and hit the ground behind, but not in the kill zone, but for 80 yards with a self-made bow, wood bow, not too bad. When I made the first video when I was shooting at 45 yards, the bow that I have now was a self bow, meaning that it had no backing. It was just wood. It was a self-backed bow. Since that time, I've backed this with sinew, and I did that with sinew from an elk that I killed this September. And if you want to check out that hunt, I put a video out about that, and I'll link to that in the top. But I want to just show you real quick this bow. It's a very snaky bow, got a lot of character in it, but I'll eventually back this thing with snakeskin, and it's also a 2-piece. I'd show you how it comes apart, but I'd have to take my quiver off, and I don't want to do that right now. There is nothing quite like watching an arrow fly, especially when it comes from a bow that you've made yourself. If you want to learn how to build your own bows, you should definitely check out my book, The Traditional Bowyer's Handbook. And if you're really ambitious, you could come and take a class with me. I'm giving classes in both Idaho and Florida in 2019. So with that, I'll give you a link to the website, and we'll see you next time.